Good day to you, partner. I'm Eve, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hey guys, Weed Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. What you're seeing in this video may shock you. It may surprise you. You may want to make a comment about how I should check my information first before I post the video, because obviously tooltips in Diablo 2, everybody knows they're incredibly accurate and never wrong. That's always been, like, even in vanilla, you could always trust any information on the screen, especially barbarians who deal physical damage. This build is really bad. It's so bad, I had to make this video to keep people from wasting their time making this build. What it was originally called was Brandmancer, but as you see, I'm using Endless Hail on this version, and that's because Strafe is an incredibly good ability. Strafe is so good, it makes you sound like a hot woman with huge tits when you use it. The reason why I think the Endless Hail version is actually better is because you attack 3 times faster. Strafe is locked at like 8.5 attacks per second. Necro's max breakpoint, it doesn't matter how much IAS or fanaticism you have. Necros cannot attack with a bow faster than 2.5 times per second. So literally, you attack over 3 times faster with Endless Hail. Now you do give up Brand for a shit bow. Bone is your only source of proccing Bone Spear. I guess let's go into a deeper dive. Why would you want to proc Bone Spear as a Necromancer? Well, if you proc an ability like Bone Spear in this video, and you have 20 points of the teeth, hard points, like any synergy in Diablo 2, you get that synergy damage for your Bone Spear. Does that make this build good enough? No, and that's kind of the issue with this build, and it has to do with 2 sides. It has to do with these rune words are accessible by other classes. So in fact, there's actually an Endless Hail Paladin with Bone. There's a Brand Zon that uses Strafe and Bone if they want. And yes, they don't benefit from the synergies to Bone Spear, but Bone Spear doesn't have the best synergies anyways. And these classes have other tools which help them basically clear faster than a Necromancer, who I think the designers of PD2 hope at some point there's some way for a Necromancer to play like this and have it be at all effective. Now you might go, well, this isn't clearing terribly. Keep in mind, if you had if you had just like plus 15 Clay Golem and Golem Mastery and Amp Damage, which is 3 skills maxed, which is what this build takes, 3 skills maxed, Teeth, Bone Armor, Bone Spirit, you would clear Chaos Sanctuary probably faster. And you wouldn't have to spend anything. You can get plus 15 skills, you know, whacking off. You could literally be whacking off and spam shopping Akara with a cow portal, open a cow portal right next to Akara in Hell, and just spawn a plus 3 summoning, plus 3 Clay Golem wand, and you'll probably be as good as this build. Now, I did say I thought this build had some point, and that's... It's hard to deal with everything. So I have BIS gear, so to speak. Now, I know you saw the Wisp. The Wisp wasn't the best, but I do have a 42 faster run walk Cat's Eye. I do have Pierce Corruption on my belt. I have a Pierce Corruption on Soul Drainers. I have Jaw FFF socketed into my Endless Hail, and I've got the Cthulhu's with a plus 8 all res, and you know, the giant face with 3 sockets. Like, the only thing that's not BIS about this build are my 2 rings. The rings could technically be both plus 3 Heart of the Wolverines with faster run walk. But as it is, it's pretty close, and it would be very expensive. Now here's the side of, well, what if I actually wanted to play this? Could I ever do it without just wanting to waste runes to waste time? Yes. And it's this build, and you would make it for this reason only. You or a friend or someone is offering an Endless Hail, because it's not worth much. It's basically only for meme builds. Widowmaker is generally the bow that anyone uses for anything, although Widowmaker and Enchant doesn't work, so who knows? Maybe there's going to be some build with Endless Hail. Point is this: if you get an Endless Hail for cheap, like a couple Worldstone shards, or you find one, and then you have two I actually think making Bone, slapping on Endless Hail, getting an Act 2 Blessed Aim Merc would work for you. Now, this is the Brand version, so we're kind of going to jump to Brand, and then I'll go back to finishing off Endless Hail. As you can see, I switched Mercs. She has Faith, because I actually need to worry about IAS. With Brand and level 15 Fanaticism, I need to hit about 40 IAS to hit 2.5 frames per second. That's not that hard, but it does change the gear I can use. And so as you can see, there's a couple of gear changes I did. And as you can see, Brand isn't a cheap rune word. Even if you take out the fact it has a jaw, which might be worthless again, it's probably going to be worth more than it was Season 2, but it might not be worth 2 high runes. You still have to get a low, what is it, jaw low ohm mal or something? It's pretty expensive, and as you can see, it's a lot slower. Again, you can't attack quicker than this. You could have 5,000 IAS and a level 5,000 Fanaticism, and your Necromancer would still attack this slowly. I don't have 100 Pierce on this build. Now again, I am using, I'm using different gear, so it's very close to 100 Pierce. Yeah, I changed belts to make sure I still got the 100 Pierce. And by the way, like a 45 Pierce belt wouldn't be cheap. So this build's more gear dependent because it narrows your choices and it forces you into cores and gear selection that would be tougher to find. Like you can see that when Bone Spear procs, it does seem to have a little more oomph behind it, and that's also because the fact, I'm full of large charms, and these magic large charms all give me 3% more magic damage, and that probably actually has an effect on the level 50 Bone Spear, while the Bone level 25, another 50% damage, so to speak, is probably, I can't imagine it being much more than 1,000 damage per Bone Spear. Maybe it's 2,000. I really don't want to do the math. If anyone's some Bone expert and can just offhand knows what a level 25 Bone Spear's, base damage is and what this synergy would give it, I can't imagine it's over 2,000. And like 2,000 per Bone Spear, it's not like you want to throw that away. But you can play the build without it, and you'd probably clear Chaos Sanctuary 30 seconds slower. The thing about this one is you have to spend more to get it started. You have to make sure you have certain gear. You need a Merc with Faith. And, the Merc has those enchant gloves. Those enchant gloves were a key addition to this build, because AR was an issue. The way I dealt with attack rating was Ravenfrost, enchant, Blessed Aim, when I had that Merc. Or with this one, I cast Heart of the Wolverine a bit more often, as you'll see. And also, I change out my Ami at one point, and my belt. And it doesn't quite have the effect I'd want. The thing is this build has no place in anything, anywhere. At the end of the video, I'll show you a T3 or a T2 map, Blood Moon. I take 30 minutes to clear it with this gear. Now, let's say you're the guy, and you go, I thought you said if I got a Hail, Endless Hail early on in the season, making a Bone Rune Word would actually, I think, be a good use of both your runes and your time. Technically, I think just going summons would be smarter, but I think there would be a role for this build, especially if you wanted to do something a bit different, and it's like, yeah, you're a bit different, you're a bit worse, but it's not much worse. And it's kind of cool. It is kind of cool, actually. I like the idea behind it. It's just really bad. I would do this. I would, I'd make your Bone, I'd get your Endless Hail, and I wouldn't spend any more money on the build. I mean, if you found gear that functioned for it, so the Razor Skin Belt, the Treads of Cthulhu, Enchant Gloves, the Giant Skull. I would use them, but do not buy them. I don't think this build really needs Pierce to make it function. By the way, if an arrow does Pierce, it does have a chance to reproc Bone Spear, but I never felt like I got that opportunity much, even with 100 IAS. It is good to Pierce, because it's more just you get more chances to proc anyways, and that is important on a proccing build. But I don't think investing in this is worth anything. So here I am killing the boss. I changed gear a little bit, and if I was going to do this on a budget, I would change this. I would get FCR. I would drop faster run walk, and what I would do is I would Blood Warp for movement. I would max out your Bone Spear synergies, but I'd put all my remaining points into Blood Warp, because Necromancers just suck, man. We have no way to move around well. Like, I have literally... There's two ways I could get more faster run walk. Actually, I'm wearing a ring, but so one way I could get more faster run walk and still have everything I need. I don't go fast enough. It's straight up, even with Vigor on the Merc. So I'd get that 48 FCR, 0-second Blood Warp, and then the remaining points either put into Bone Armor synergies, or you should put it into Revive, or even Golem Mastery if you want. I think Revives would be better because you don't have a lot of extra points. You do have enough to max out Golem Mastery Revive, but I think putting some points into Bone Armor synergies would be smart. This build, I actually maxed out Bone Armor, which I think it actually helps, and also Bone has a chance to proc Bone Armor, and it's one of the coolest things about this build is as glass-like as you are, if the Bone Rune Word procs, you can just face tank anything. Like, as you saw, those cows were hitting me. I had a curse on me, and I wasn't taking no damage, dude. So I do think the build has this fun to it. And I think if you get Endless Hail, a Bone Rune Word would not... I used to say Bone was a waste of runes. Because 2 early on could get you, 2 Trang Armors. And what if you roll +1 skills on it? Well, guess what? You have a BIS armor. Bone is never BIS. But with the changes to Bone and comboing it with an Endless Hail early on in the season, I wouldn't call you stupid. Would I say you're doing the smartest thing you could? Are you min-maxing your time playing PD2? No. Are you going to help people kill Ubers? Not even the smallest chance. But you would have some fun, and you also wouldn't be completely wasting your time or money just to prove a point. Anyways, here's the Blood Moon map. I skipped forward. It took me 30 minutes. It was an awful experience. Skeleton King out. GG.